Hey, how are ya?
Hey Alexa, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I wish the weather was a little bit better, but I'm doing pretty well besides that.
It's been sucking. Like it'll snow and then it'll melt and then it'll snow again.
I know. And just when you think you're out of it, we get freezing rain and it's just what else can you add on to the COVID situation, I guess. But
Just making it worse. Mother Nature is making it worse.
exactly. I know we were supposed to get outside the first week of March, but I think we're going to push it back maybe a few weeks and just see what happens. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the field's covered right now, so there's no chance right now, but fingers crossed. We'll see.
So it'll be a typical spring season like they've done in the past.
It'll be similar. We basically had to find teams that also were testing and opted into play this spring. So, I mean, usually in a spring season, we wouldn't play anybody in conference, but because those were really the only teams in state playing this spring and weren't in a regular season like a lot of the other conferences are currently. So, we have two games against Mercyhurst, two against Gannon. So those will be tough. For sure. And then we added one against Penn State Barons and one against Mount Aloysius to kind of balance us out a little bit. So we got six in April, which is a packed April. If we hopefully we make it there COVID free and all of that good stuff. But yeah, that's the plans right now. And as long as everything stays as is and everyone stays testing and things like that, that'll be it. So it looks kind of similar, but a little different. So just glad to have some games, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, this year's been rough. Have you still gotten to like build relationships with your players? Like specifically like the freshmen that came in this year?
Yeah, so I tell everybody it sounds very strange to say, but the whole COVID situation really allowed us to start building those relationships as soon as I got here. And those were all obviously built off the field because we weren't allowed on the field. We were all kind of at home. So it gave us a chance to get to know each other, let the players get to know me and vice versa. And we were very lucky to be here in the fall and be training, be outside, be on the field. And unlike a lot of universities, we got the chance to improve and get to know where we're going, where we want to take the program, what our style of play looks like. And again, let them get to know me then as a coach. Let me get to know them as players also. So, and along with us practicing, it obviously continues to build those relationships. Me as a coach, I always put the person first, and I prefer to build those relationships before we even talk about the player relationships. So, definitely, we were lucky enough to be in a place where we could be on the field. And obviously, being on the field allows us to continue to build those relationships with each other.
Right. Do you feel like you kind of came in as COVID started? Do you feel like that affected like your initial relationships at all? Or
A little bit. I always joke that my first real contact with them was kind of relaying the message that we were all leaving campus and going home for safety reasons and things like that. So it was very different, obviously, from what it typically would be like, and very different from what I pictured because it wasn't the usual meet with the team, introduce yourself, and then we get started with training. It was over the phone, text message, FaceTime, phone calls, things like that. So it was very different, but I think it was a good learning experience for all of us in terms of not taking that usual process and our usual spring for granted. And we did get a lot of conversations in that spring in terms of the team was put into small groups and they could chat about workouts or schoolwork or introducing the incoming freshmen to those small groups, different things like that. Again, allowed us to get creative in how we communicated, not how we would typically picture it. But again, allowed us to use technology, and this Zoom that we're all so used to by now was brand new back in March. So allowed us to really discover that and really let us get to know each other on a different basis, again, rather than just players as people and students also.
right. So rewinding back, when did you first get into soccer?
Oh gosh. It feels like very long ago. I actually, when I was younger, probably elementary school age, my friends were playing soccer. And at the time I was playing softball and riding horses and different things like that. And my friends, started playing soccer, and I told my mom I wanted to. And I was the first one in my family to play soccer. My mom played field hockey in college, played softball, different things like that. Nobody had ever played soccer. So nobody really understood, including myself, what soccer was and the rules, anything like that. So I started like most players do, playing locally and AYSO and travel and different things like that. I actually wasn't on a club team until around the age of 12 or 13. And that club was called STN North Penn in Beach Creek, Lock Haven area. And it was the best experience of my life. I always say that club and the director of that club, Rob Eaton, is the reason I coach now, because of everything I learned and went through in that club. So I played club soccer all through high school. And I actually only played a few seasons of high school soccer. I played club soccer instead. So went through the club soccer scene, the high school scene, all of that. And I was recruited to play here at Clarion for the same coach that coached me in club, believe it or not. So I came to Clarion for a few years, ended up transferring to Lock Haven for my last couple years to be a little bit closer to family. After that, I knew I wanted to coach. Like I said, that director of that club is the reason I'm coaching now. And he taught me everything I know and is still teaching me new things every single day. But after I graduated, I knew I wanted to coach. So I was lucky enough to get a graduate assistant position at what is now Ream University in West Virginia. So I was there for 2 years, got my master's in business along with being the assistant coach there. Right after I left Wheeling, I was an assistant at Mercyhurst University under John Arlett. For a year, and there I was an assistant and the head coach of our reserve developmental team. And I always knew Clarion was the place I wanted to end up in my coaching career. I always wanted to come back here. I knew I could get this program to a place where when I was a player here, we were starting to build something, and it's been in that process. And I knew I could come back and get it to where we've all dreamt of it being. So I was lucky enough to get back here and come back to Clarion. And I've been here almost a year, which is crazy to say. It feels like it's flown by, also feels like I've been here a while, but yeah, I've been here a year, going really well so far.
Nice. Yeah. So once you got your master's, you knew that you just wanted to coach. That's all you want to do.
Yeah, when I went into college, when I came to Clarion, my idea was to come here with pursuing a degree in biology, pre-physical therapy, and I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. My first year here, I was very successful my first year here. My second year here, I was out injured almost the entire season with a broken foot. So I always say that's kind of where my interest really started and really peaked, because I was able to see the game from a sideline perspective. And I was always right next to coach, and I was always listening to what he said and what just went on this side of things and what it looked like watching the game rather than playing. And that's when it really started. And after I got interested, Coach Rob was nice enough to let me do some sessions and run sessions at his club that I played for at home. And my first session, when I stepped on the field, right after I walked off, I said, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And I love that story also because I tell all of the students that come in here, you'll come in here with an idea, you might leave here with a completely different idea. That's the cool thing about college. So yeah, didn't know I always wanted to do it, but I think once you find something that you love and that you know that's what you're meant to be doing, you just have that feeling. And I had that feeling as soon as I stepped off that first practice session. I've been doing it ever since. So yeah.
Nice. So so you come to Clarion. What was your first reaction after meeting the girls? Like, how did you like the girls?
I love them. They're a fantastic group. And I tell everybody, even when I was going through my interview process, that interview process involved meeting with them, asking them questions, and vice versa. And even in that first interview process, I knew this was a fantastic group of young ladies that I would only hope to get the pleasure of coaching. And when I finally was awarded that pleasure, they're fantastic. You can't ask for better students, people, young women, even aside from from the soccer side of things, because they're awesome soccer players too, but you always want to go into a program and have a group of student athletes that you can surround yourself with that are just great kids. Because I always say we're with each other a lot. So we have to kind of surround ourselves with people that we enjoy being around. And I truly enjoy being around the girls. Really great group of girls. I've never had a session where they haven't given it their all, been hardworking, been enthusiastic and competitive. And all of those words are words that we consistently look for as coaches in sessions and games, everything moving forward off the field. And these guys have it. So definitely a very, very exciting group for me to inherit and come into.
And you're still fairly young, so you probably have even a closer connection to the girls. What are you, 26?
27, I just turned.
Okay.
Yeah, so still a little bit young, but I like that. I like that I can have a connection with the girls, and because they are such a mature and fantastic group, they understand the difference between the coach connection and kind of being friends connection. And I prefer to have those personal relationships with my teams and with anybody I coach, because I think that leads into better success and better performances on the field when I'm asking them to do something from a coach's perspective. So yeah, definitely allows me to kind of understand what they're going through as well. It's been almost 10 years since I've been in their shoes. So still have a pretty good idea of what they're going through, what they face daily in terms of challenges and just different things with being a collegiate student athlete. So definitely allows me to see things from their perspective and build those personal relationships that I prefer to build.
So what I've noticed about Clarion Athletics in general is like the entire Clarion Athletic staff, they're such nice people. The coaches are awesome. What were your initial reactions of the coaches here?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think everyone at Clarion will tell you the people at Clarion are what makes Clarion Clarion. And that's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to come back, because you get that feeling as soon as you walk on campus that you're part of a family, whether it's the athletics family, whether it's the entire university family, just the soccer family. There's families amongst our entire campus. And that's one of the biggest reasons I was so excited to come back, because the people truly make it feel like this is your home. And for student athletes, it's your home away from home. The people here constantly amaze me, and it's everybody. Everybody is willing to get to know you, help you if you need help, and just have those daily conversations with you that I don't think you see at a lot of other universities and institutions. You truly get to know everybody. And I also love that there's a lot of the same faces here from when I was here as a player and as a student. So definitely brings back some old memories, but so great to be surrounded by a really good, friendly, comfortable group of everybody on campus, within athletics, and within soccer.
Yeah, it really just keeps you coming back. I moved here from Maryland, and just the people really just kept me here in Clarion.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And like you've obviously been around the town of Clarion. So what do you like to do in the town of Clarion?
Yeah, so I'm very outdoorsy, mostly because of my dog. He loves to be outside, so anything Cook Forest, hiking, trails related, we're in for. So we spend a lot of time at Cook's Forest, on the trails, in the water. My fiance's dog is new to Cook's Forest, and he absolutely loves it. So spend a lot of time there, and I love the community feel. I've never been one for big cities and a lot of people and a lot of traffic. So I love the feel of it here, because again, it makes you feel like you're at home and with your second family. These local places, these local businesses, and the people within the community, again, just make you feel like you're at home and that you're welcome here. And that's the feeling that I always look for, is that you feel like you're home, amongst everybody, amongst everything that goes into the community. So really outdoorsy, and I always promote Bob Subs to everybody that I talk to, every recruit on campus. I remember when I got this job, the first thing my mom said was, "You're going to be right up the block from Bob Subs again." I'm obsessed. So two of my favorite things, definitely.
I love Bob Sauce is probably my favorite here.
Yes, agreed.
When did you get engaged?
I actually got engaged in September. And again, actually got engaged at Cook's Forest. We took the dogs up. was on a little hike, and we were about 3 miles up a mountain when I figured out he was carrying this ring all the way up the mountain with us. So yeah, it was super nice. Amidst, and it was weird because typically we'd both be having seasons. He's the head soccer coach at Pitt Johnstown, so we'd typically be having our seasons right now. So we'd spend it outside, outdoors instead. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's nice. Yeah. I actually didn't know you were engaged.
Yes, most people don't, because I haven't seen anybody in person to show it off and to brag about it. So most people do not know, and it still feels a little bit new to me because we really haven't been out and about to see anybody to really celebrate it yet. So we're still waiting for that.
Yeah. Did you two decide to move here together, like initially once you got hired?
So he actually still lives in Johnstown. So we're doing the long distance kind of thing right now, which is kind of what we're used to. He's been working at Johnstown for a few years now. So as I've kind of bounced around different places, he's stayed there. And we're just kind of figuring out as we go. And hopefully eventually down the road, we can find that place in the middle and just kind of drive both ways. But right now, just kind of seeing how it goes. And with this kind of weather that we're having right now, it might be impossible to do the middle. But yeah, we're good. And we do the weekends. And typically we spend our weekends recruiting together. So working and being together.
You do have an assistant. She's a grad assistant, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How has she helped with this whole process during COVID?
Kira's been fantastic. So Kira actually played at Johnstown, and she comes to us. She's pursuing a master's in athletic training right now, and she's been excellent in terms of on the field. She's primarily with our goalkeepers, and that helps so much, allowing them to get that individual attention, individual sessions, different types of workouts with her, while I'm mainly with the field players. So when we're on the field, she does all of that sort of stuff. Off the field, she does our paperwork online, different things like our study logs that the girls have to fill out and kind of hand in. So she does a lot of daily, day-to-day maintenance in terms of maybe the things the girls are giving to us, scheduling, keeping scores just while we're at practice, social media and pictures, different things like that. But she's helped immensely, especially in a time of COVID, when I always tell her this is not what it normally looks like. So everything you're doing is pretty new and a little bit different from maybe what we would typically be doing, but she's handled it great. And she's loving the process, and very, very excited to finally get some games in this April.
It's probably so hard being a new coach during COVID.
It's a big learning experience.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit difficult. And I remember when it first started, I was texting and calling a lot of my mentors and my colleagues and saying, what are you doing during this? Because I am new, and I want to make sure I'm doing kind of similar things or not missing anything. And they said, Lex, we're in the same boat as you. This is new to everybody. So everybody is in this brand new boat of discovering technology and Zoom and how to keep your team engaged while you're all in separate places in different states, different things like that. So I felt more comfortable knowing that it was new to everybody, as weird as that sounds. And it was kind of a good mix on the coaching side of things, of everybody sharing ideas in terms of, here's what we're doing. Here's what worked for my team. Here's what maybe didn't work for my team moving forward, so on and so forth. So it was a good build of community in terms of coaches and just figuring out what we're doing on our end to help our team out. So I tell everybody, it definitely was not what I pictured my first year being like, but it's taught me a lot of things in terms of flexibility and scheduling. And like I said, getting to know the girls on a personal level when maybe we don't have the field experiences available to us on certain days. And then when we do have the field experience available to us, is realizing that every day is we're lucky to have it, and we're lucky to be training today, and put every day in perspective in terms of, there's a lot of student athletes right now that will go the whole year without training. And we're very lucky to have Clarion University and have their support in terms of training in the fall, training in the spring, and hopefully playing this spring. So perspective was a big word for us, keeping everything in our vision and realizing that every day is a blessing to be on the field. So it was difficult. I'm very excited to hopefully get my first game under my belt in the next couple months, but a good learning experience. And I think, again, I enjoyed taking over the program at that time because it allowed me to really get to know the team and develop us in different ways that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do had it been a normal season for us.
So how do you approach March, getting them ready for competition when these girls probably haven't competed in arguably like 2 years?
Yeah.
How do you plan on approaching that?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think, again, it makes everybody a bit more comfortable and less pressured, knowing that every team that we're playing is essentially in the same boat. So we're not really the only ones that haven't played in that long of a time. It's everybody. So just off the bat, I think that makes us all a bit more relaxed in terms of approaching competitions. But after that, it has to be fun. And I say the word fun a lot, and you have to enjoy it. I always say, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, why are you here? So making it and approaching these competitions as, this is fantastic, this is fun, we get to finally compete in a competitive setting that isn't just us against us. It's an outside opponent. So if that's not exciting, I don't know what is, because it's been so long, like you said. So playing another outside opponent that's different from us is really how we're approaching it. And again, keeping it in perspective and realizing when we get there and if we're able to play in April, it's again a blessing. So take full advantage of it, have fun. You finally get to show off in this competitive setting after so long of not being able to do it. So it's definitely a fun approach, and it's a good test for us in terms of, I've said up until now, from day one till today, the improvement as within the squad in general, where we want to go in terms of playing style, and what Clarion soccer is really defined as in terms of not just playing style, but culture and values and different things like that. From day one till now, it's been a big change. So these games are really a good test of how far we've come, and come fall 2021, where we still kind of have to go. So a good measure and a good place to really see where we're at and where we still need to go. But we're all very, very excited. I think that's the biggest word to explain it, is we're ready to enjoy it, we're ready to have fun, and just excited to get out there and go after it.
Nice. So for soccer, a spring season is more of like a skirmish season. Is that how? I'm not sure how that works, but
Yeah, it's a little bit typically in the fall. Obviously, you're playing in conference opponents within the PSAC. In the spring, you're really open to playing whoever you want to play. We have a set number of games we're allowed to play in the spring, but those games can essentially be against anybody. So this spring does look a little different because we are playing opponents that are in our conference, where typically we probably wouldn't play in conference opponents in the spring. But again, finding teams that opted in and were willing to play in different things like that allowed us to play, again, a different kind of variety of teams this spring. Usually in the spring, we do a good mix of maybe Division III schools, different Division II schools we wouldn't see in conference. That could include different club teams also. We're going to be on the campus, different things like that. So it looks a little bit different this spring again, but about the same amount of competitions that we would see in a regular spring season.
okay. How do you approach the summer going into like an unknown fall season? Because that's pretty much what the fall is right now, right?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that fall will look like it normally does for us. Approaching that, I think we just approach it how we would typically approach it, and we approach it in terms of we're playing and we have to be prepared for fall, and it's going to look like it typically does. So let's be prepared to play. So anything, again, putting it in perspective and just realizing that we work every day and we improve every day for whenever that next competition is. And that's kind of what we've been saying throughout the fall and throughout the spring. Is right now we have games on the calendar in the spring. So we're just improving and we're getting better and working towards that next game. So come summer, it's kind of the same mentality as we know when we come in for preseason, we know when our first match is. So how do we continue to stay fit and prepare and improve ourselves individually and as a team come that first day of preseason and come that first scrimmage and that first game, different things like that.
Okay. You guys have been, how long have you been practicing already, like indoor?
Indoor, this is our third week. So different, kind of a mix of a lot of futsal, a lot of soccer, getting a lot of little touches on the ball, some decent time in the weight room, and a little bit of conditioning mixed in there. But most of our conditioning is coming from the futsal and the ball skills, and having a ball at our feet. So a good mix of all of that sort of stuff. And hopefully if the weather is a little bit cleared up, we can get outside by March, mid-March, and get some time on the field before our games come up.
Yeah, I sort of noticed all the teams when they first started after this whole COVID mess. When they first started, they sort of like let the athletes sort of work back into it through their sport instead of just making them go, go, go. They sort of just let the athletes, I don't know how to explain it, just work their way into it, which I like.
I mean, it's been so different because typically, obviously, we're used to playing a bunch of games in the fall and a few games in the spring, but there's always games mixed in there, and matches and full games are fitness-wise and conditioning-wise very different from just kind of the daily sessions and practices and things like that. So now we're looking at student athletes that haven't, like you said, haven't played in so long, and prepping them for possible games this spring. So it's kind of a new approach to slowly getting them back into that top fitness, but also you don't want to hit that top fitness too early and then not be fit, kind of on the decline for those spring games. So the preparation has been a little tough because you expect to have games and then those games kind of get postponed till spring. So it's reworking that conditioning, the fitness and the ball skills to fit now what the plan is to play in spring. So it's been a little bit of reworking on my side of things. I prefer to stay fit and get a lot of touches on the ball and do all of that through playing and through sessions with the ball at our feet. So hasn't been a lot of conditioning, that side of things. It's been a lot of let's get touches on the ball and keep that actively kind of up here. And then come games, we already have those touches on the ball and all of those sessions under our belt. And then those games in the spring are a good kind of, again, a good measure of where we are ball skills wise, fitness wise, and where we need to go going into summer, with the idea in mind that we're playing a normal season in the fall.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to watch you guys play again. I'm a big fan of our USA team.
Yes.
I was at Megan Rapinoe.
I was gonna ask who your favorite player was.
I like how badass she is. It's hilarious watching them play. They're so good and no one can stop them, and they're just.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much
our
about
men's
soccer,
team's
but
getting there too. Our men's team, based on what I've seen, is kind of getting there too. So hopefully we can have both of our national teams up here. It's a good watch for the girls, a good watch for fans, and a good standard to kind of have for the United States. So hopefully the men's team can jump up there too with us.
the women's team definitely just has like more clout, as we say, than the men's team.
Yeah.
So.
It's so true. I agree.
They're really good just role models for female athletes to show that you can be up there too.
Agreed. Yep.
Really need that.
I agree.
So, future in Clarion soccer, what do you see? Like past avoiding COVID, what do you see in the future of Clarion soccer?
Yeah, so hopefully post-COVID, we can first get just back to our normal routine, our normal schedules, things like that. But in terms of the program in Clarion Soccer, like I said earlier, it's been a program that has had this extreme potential to be competitive and make a name in the conference for ourselves. And it's been in that building process since I was a student athlete here. So I see us making that impact and continuing to build and really making a name for ourselves. And that includes off the field and on the field. So we've started to touch on things like culture and values and different mantras and words for each player and for the program as a whole. So it's all about continuing to build those. So we really have a name for ourselves and an emphasis on what Clarion soccer means, whether you're within the program or you're looking at the program from the outside. A definite set of values and culture of what it means to be a Clarion soccer player. So, and then when you step on the field, like I said earlier, it's a very talented group of young ladies and young soccer players. So really emphasizing that talent, taking it where it needs to go. The PSAC, as you know, is a very competitive and strong and athletic conference. And that's why we all love it on the women's soccer side, because you never see a game where it's not competitive and it's not strong. So finding a way that we take those competitive games and those really close matches that we've had in the past couple of years and turning those around and playing our style of play and developing as players, but taking this program to a place where it is competitive in terms of the win column in the PSAC conference, and again, making a name for ourselves in the conference. So it's something in a process, it's something that's building, and we're going to continue bringing in players and developing the players that we currently have now to a place where that's something that's consistent in terms of culture and competitiveness in our conference. So
Good. That's good to hear. I'm excited to watch you guys play. And
thanks.
do you have your wedding scheduled yet?
Not even close. We've kind of started. We're both really relaxed in terms of what we picture for the wedding. So I'm not a typical wife in terms of I have it all planned out and have it all kind of on my Pinterest board or anything like that. So we're kind of all across the board on what we prefer. I like a summer wedding. He likes a winter wedding. So trying to figure out that first. And it's been, and with COVID again, it's kind of pushed everybody else's weddings back. So it looks like a lot of the venues that we kind of have picked out, the earliest might be 2023 or 24. So very slowly working on the planning process and just kind of figuring out where and when, with both of us as coaches, our time for availability of a wedding is pretty a small window. So trying to figure out what those dates are first and then kind of going from there. So a very relaxed and slow process. So hopefully once COVID is over, we can really start going on dates and different things like that.
Sometimes it's good to have time to plan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I've always said I'm in no rush. And we'll just kind of see what happens. And once we find a place that we like, we'll know that's the place. So we're both kind of just very relaxed. And I think both of our moms are more excited about the planning process than we are right now. So my mom has the Pinterest board all saved and all ready to go for whenever we're ready to go. So.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm happy for you. I'm sure we're all happy to have you here. We're all happy to hear from you.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. We're excited to have you at some games, hopefully this spring, but definitely in the fall when we're out there playing our regular season. So we appreciate your support and we appreciate you helping us out with, and your pictures, by the way, are fantastic. The girls rave about them. So hopefully we can get you out and get you on the field a little bit more too.
Yeah, I'll text you about coming by and getting some pictures, and I'll let you know.
Perfect. Awesome. Right. We appreciate it.
Yep, I'll see you.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right.